Hey everybody, how you doing out there? It's Vinny Cuz here. Appreciate y'all joining us in. Today I got a special guest, a friend of mine, Mr. Elias Vargas. He is a business owner down here, but for staffing, things of that nature, does business with the Marlins, Formula One F Miami, some other things. But started out as a driver like the rest of us. And as most drivers, if you're looking to be ambitious, entrepreneurial, you will start your own business out of this, but always keep Uber and Lyft in your hip pocket. So, without further ado, Mr. Elias, how you doing today, buddy? I see you're on the road there.
Doing great, man. Just taking a drive down to the Keys to visit some clients, and I heard you needed some input, so I'm available.
All right, good, good, good. Just be careful. Don't be looking at the camera. Keep your eyes on the road. We don't need no viral YouTube moments during a viral YouTube moment. All right, so we all heard yesterday that a federal judge over in Tampa uh, rescinded throughout the whole mask mandate from the Biden administration and the CDC, saying it was unconstitutional and extended reach. And last night we tried to do a video, but I screwed it up with the vocal, the audio. We were talking about how this was going to affect Uber and Lyft, and sure enough, this morning, this morning we get the app update that is now telling us Uber has lifted the mask requirements. Your initial response to that, Elias?
It was expected, and yeah, it was really expected. We spoke about it last night. We are kind of counting down the minutes, and lo and behold, this morning it was there.
Amazing, just amazing to me. And while in our little group, we've talked about, and for those who have been out of the loop, haven't been driving, if you were on your basic platforms, UberX, Uber Shared, Lyft, Lyft Line, whatever it is this week, Premier, Lux Black, you couldn't have more than three riders in the car. If you were XL on either platform, Premier SUV, XL, Lyft XL, Lyft Black XL, no more than five riders. Some drivers adhered to it, some drivers didn't. No judgment here. But with the lifting of the mask mandate, and I'll read it here, as of today, riders and drivers will not be required to wear a mask when using Uber. However, the CDC still recommends it. Many people still feel safer wearing a mask because of personal health situations. So please be respectful of their preferences. And if you ever feel uncomfortable, you can always cancel the trip. We're going to come back to that cancel the trip part in a minute. But it says here, Elias, riders and drivers will not be required. So it's going to put drivers in a tough situation because they now have to decide if they want to continue to wear a mask or not. And if they choose not to, but they get riders that want them to, what becomes of that? Now, does the driver get penalized because we know how these apps work? You said it yourself. Uber, Lyft, they're more client focused than worker bee focused. What's your thought on that part of it?
Well, yes, Uber and Lyft, they run a customer-centric model where they pretty much want to cater to the customer and the client base and their uh, perception of service and what service should be like, their expectations. So I see that, it was totally expected for Uber and Lyft to turn over this subject in this way. But when it comes to the subject of the driver and passenger relationship, I think that there's going to be some friction in some cases. In many cases already, I've seen um, friction with passengers because I wear my mask when I have passengers in the car. And while we've had a mask mandate, we all know that there's passengers who here in Florida have wanted to take off the mask for months now. So I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting to see what type of tools Uber puts in place to protect drivers and passengers from retaliation via the Uber rating system.
It's interesting because, like you said, and I'm sure most drivers have, encountered that where you've had passengers get in the car again, once again, down here in Florida, especially. Um, they aren't going to wear the mask. They refuse to wear the mask. So, as a driver, you got to make a decision based on your best judgment. Do you take the ride? Do you cancel the ride? Um, in the past, up until today, if you had a passenger get in the car, they refused to wear a mask, you had an option to cancel that trip, and there was a tab in there where you could say, "Hey, driver, rider had no mask," and you would be protected and get the cancellation fee. No longer today, as we'll scroll down here to the fine print, says it right here. Um, Note: our pre-COVID-19 policy for cancellations will also be in effect, meaning before the lockdown. This means that as of April 19th, 2022, there will no longer be an option to cancel a trip if a rider is not wearing a mask. So you've got all of these drivers, for whatever reason, good, bad, or indifferent, programmed. Rider has no mask, we cancel the trip. I get paid. Now they don't have that anymore.
So riddle me this.
What do you think
Alternators
about
are
that,
batteries, correct?
Elias?
So if
I
alternators
think it's
charge
going to be
batteries,
very.
why doesn't Tesla?
I think it's going to be, it's going to be a touchy subject, and I think that we need to, see what resolution Uber and Lyft are going to put in place for this, because um, I'm with you. I think that it's going to be the driver is going to be at an unfair advantage or at a disadvantage. The rider is going to have an unfair advantage. But then again, what's new about that? I
Huh.
think, I think that um, there will be passengers that'll complain about drivers wearing the mask. There'll be passengers that will complain about drivers not wearing the mask. And I think that um, drivers are going to get shafted either way.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then here's the next part of this now. So the upfront seat policy, right? So through the whole lockdown, and I'm always going to call it a lockdown, um, Uber and Lyft instituted a no passenger in the front seat clause, right? As we said before, 3 to a ride, 5 to a ride on XLs on the big vehicles. But now riders will no longer be required to sit in the back seat. However, we're still asking them to use the front seat only if they need it because of the size of their group. If there are only a few riders, you can ask them to sit in the back seat for additional space. So, again, they're putting in a confrontational situation. I've had people, even they'll order an XL and still want to sit in the front seat with me. How do you feel about that?
Well, yeah, I come from the limo industry prior to doing rideshare. And in that service, riders always sit in the back. They always sit in the back, and it's very rare case where the car is full that they have the last passenger sit up in the front. But then again, I think that's it's kind of how the service uh, sets up those limits for the passengers, and I was very appreciative of it during the pandemic. But now I can see that creating some issues again. Like I at the beginning of the pandemic, before right before the mask, the lockdown, when we were on spring break, I would tell you guys those stories of the spring breakers sitting in the front seat and trying to speak above the music, and in the process spitting all over me. Somebody in the rider's seat just trying to
Right.
talk to the people in the back seat, and and there's I'm not a germaphobe, but I do keep my hygiene, and I know how a lot of these airborne um, transmissible viruses are. So, I appreciated that Uber and Lyft made a no front seat policy because of situations like that, because of passengers reaching over and turning up the music, or trying to grab a hold of the auxiliary cord and all these different things. So um, now I don't know, I might have to enforce this a little bit stronger with people.
Okay, I cannot disagree with you there. All right, for some reason we lost your video feed, but we've got your audio good and strong, so we'll keep moving forward with this. Um, I agree. Again, each driver is going to have to make their own decisions on which way they want to go with it. But as far as the app is concerned, now we haven't heard from Lyft yet, but we all know um, how Uber goes, Lyft goes, and vice versa. When Lyft makes a move, Uber will follow it up. So within the next 48 hours, we expect Lyft to have the same rules in place or lifting of the rule in place. Um, well, I kind of think that once again, as we've said here already, drivers are in a tough spot. It's their vehicle, so it's their choice. But how much will it hurt them on the back end or help them on the back end? Final thoughts?
Well, I think and then, as always, we'll have to learn how to work with the diversity and the
Hmm.
variety of passengers that we encounter on a daily basis. And as I've always said, I tend to have positive encounters with guests on a very high percentage. Um, but there are those situations that there can be friction and it can be edgy. So I just suggest everybody be safe and use your best common sense and good judgment to know when you have to say hell no, that won't go. And if you have to cancel a ride, cancel them. It's
I
better
agree,
that than
brother.
better lose $20 than lose your sanity.
Amen to that. Amen to that. All right, I think that's going to wrap it up for what we got here. Elias, I want to thank you, sir. I know you're driving, you're heading to the Keys. Boy, I tell you, you got it tough going to the Keys on this beautiful day in South Florida. What a life. But I want to appreciate it. Uh, and hopefully, some people get the message out here. Don't look at these people that want to wear masks as being some type of leopard. Those that don't want to wear masks, don't judge them. If you, as a driver, still feel uncomfortable, it's real easy. Just keep on your mask. Call it a day. Keep your car clean and keep moving forward. All right, E. I will. I'll talk to you later, brother. I appreciate you dropping in on us.
All right. Thank you for having me.
All right, brother. And for the rest of y'all out there, go Heat. Game 2 tonight.